Hello friends, in this video we will see more problems on AC circuits, that is gate based problems. Look at question number 1. In the figure, RLC load is supplied with 230 volt 50 Hz single phase source. The magnitude of reactive power in volt ampere reactive supplied by the source is. So you should know the fact. Reactive power Q is given as Vi sin phi, where V is Vrms value, I is Irms value, and it is sin phi. And of course the unit is volt ampere reactive. So in this case, Vrms is given as 230. It is 230 volt. What is not known to us is Irms. Irms means the supplied current is not known. But suppose if I try to get the value of I1 and the value of I2 here, of course both the currents are in different phases, so I rather say I2 vector, I1 vector, and if I do the vector addition, I'll get Irms, that is I vector. In I vector, the magnitude is Irms. So let's go on doing this, because in every branch what is known to us is impedance, and what is known to also us is voltage across every impedance. Because it is a parallel circuit, it means 230 volt is the constant voltage which is applied across branch 1 and branch 2. So voltage across this is 230, as well as voltage across this is also 230. So further what I'll do is, I'll just apply Ohm's law and I'll get I1 vector for first branch. Even for second branch, I'll apply Ohm's law, I'll get I2 vector. I1 vector, I2 vector addition will give me final I vector, and then I'll get I value also. Let's see. So for branch 1, if you can see, branch 1 was RC circuit. The value of R is 162.6 ohms and the value of XL is same. Only thing is this imaginary value, it is J 162.6 ohms, through which I want to calculate I1 vector, across which 230 volt is the voltage. Naturally, I1 vector is what? It is simply 230 at an angle of 0 degree. I am writing it into polar form, divided by impedance, which is 162.6 plus J 162.6. So you know the fact, when you are doing such calculations, numerator as well as denominator, both of them should be polar values. So how to get polar value for this? That is, what you have to get is R phase. R is magnitude, phi is phase. Magnitude is under root of real part square plus imaginary part square, and the angle is tan inverse of imaginary upon real. In this case, at least angle we can determine it directly. 162.6 are same, so y by x will become 1. So tan inverse of 1 is 45 degree. So what is the angle at bottom? It is 45 degree. When it comes at the numerator, it becomes minus 45 degree. Also you just try to get the magnitude also, it nearly becomes 230, and therefore what I1 vector we have is 1 at an angle of minus 45 degree. So this is for branch 1. Let's see what happens at branch 2 also. So if you observe branch 2 in the question, it is only capacitor having minus J 230 ohms as a capacitance, or in fact a reactance value of the capacitor, and this is I2 vector, across which of course 230 volt is given. In that case, I2 vector by Ohm's law is 230 volt at an angle of 0 degree divided by impedance is minus J 230, or I can write I2 vector as 230 at an angle of 0 degree. You should know polar value for denominator, which is 230 at an angle of minus 90 degree. 230 gets cancelled. What is remaining I2 vector? It's simply 1 at an angle of positive 90 degree ampere. So our aim is to calculate I vector, which is nothing but addition of I1 vector and I2 vector. So finally, I vector is I1 vector and I2 vector, where I1 is 1 at an angle of minus 45 degree plus 1 at an angle of 90 degree. We know when it comes to addition, polar forms are not suitable. What is suitable? Of course, rectangular form. So just convert 1 at an angle of minus 45 degree into rectangular form, as well as convert 1 at an angle of 90 degree into rectangular form, and then do the addition. Once you do the addition, you'll get a final rectangular answer. Convert the final rectangular answer into polar answer again. How to convert 1 at an angle of minus 45 degree into rectangular form? I'm sure you remember, if r phase is given, how to convert it into x plus jy form? X is r cos 5 and y is r sin 5. So in this case, if you calculate it, you'll get 0.765 at an angle of 22.51 degree. So this is a final I vector, right? So if you remember, your VRMS was simply 230, or in fact the supply voltage V was given as 230 at an angle of 0 degree volt. I, that is final I current, is 0.765 at an angle of 22.51 degree ampere, and what I want is Q, which is nothing but reactive power, which is given as VRMS into IRMS into sine of phi. I'm sure you remember what is phi. Phi is actually called as impedance angle. But this impedance angle is also known to be phase difference angle between voltage and current. So in fact, say I can take this as phase of voltage minus phase of current as a difference. As you can see, your phi V is 0 degree and phi I is what? It is 22.51 degree. Just take a subtraction of them, that is difference of them. Then finally what we have is Q. VRMS is nothing but magnitude, which is 230, multiplied by IRMS is 0.765, and it is then sine of phi V minus phi I becomes minus 22.51 degree. And if you solve this, you will get the value of Q as final answer, which is 67.36 volt ampere reactive. So this is the final answer for the given question. We'll just go back to the question. What we had to calculate, the magnitude of reactive power in volt ampere reactive supplied by source. When they say supplied by source, of course V will be supply voltage, I will be supply current, and it is sin phi, where phi is actually called as impedance angle. But then if you go on calculating impedance over here, I don't say it is impossible, but then it will take so much time. So you should also know by concept that phi is nothing but, when it is called as impedance angle, it is as good as phase difference between voltage and current. So we knew voltage, we knew current in polar form, so we knew their phases also. So just take a difference of them and get phi value, and this is how you should actually solve the problem. Let's move to the next question now. Second question says, a series RC circuit is excited by 1 at an angle of 0 degree volt sinusoidal AC voltage source. The locus diagram of phasor current I, which is in the form of x plus jy ampere when the C is varied keeping R fixed, is. It is one of the locus diagram which is true out of option A, B, C and D. So as you can see, neither value of R nor the value of C is given. Also, only supply voltage is given, which is 1 at an angle of 0 degree. In this, as they said, it is a series RC circuit in which R is fixed, C is variable. Let's draw that first. At least what we know is the supply voltage is 1 at an angle of 0 degree volt, and it is series RC circuit. I can treat C as minus jXC in fact, through which the current is flowing, which is I, which is in this form. As you can see, it is x plus jy ampere. When C is varied, it means this is variable, R is fixed. After that, what current locus diagram you will get? How to deal with this? I'll tell you. First of all, try to get the current. How do we get the current? Generally, I is simply V by Z. Am I right? Or I can write supply voltage V divided by Z is R minus J XC. Where XC is what? It is 1 upon omega C. I equal to V upon R minus J 1 upon omega C. This is in rectangular form. Let's write in polar form. Now, I can write the value of V, that is supply voltage, it was given 1 at an angle of 0 degree divided by, I can convert the following denominator into polar form by simply having a root as a magnitude, which is R square plus 1 upon omega square C square. Is that right? Of course, at an angle of tan inverse of y upon x, that is imaginary part upon real part, which is 1 upon omega C upon R. And of course, how can we forget this negative sign, right? Or you can write I simply as 1 at an angle of 0 degree divided by under root of R square plus 1 upon omega square C square. In fact, now you can actually subtract these two angles, which is minus of tan inverse of minus 1 upon omega RC. So this is the value of I we have. What I'll do is, with this I'll try to get a locus diagram of it by varying the value of C, keeping R constant, because that is the only condition which is given in the question. So you know the fact R is fixed, C is variable. C is variable means just vary C from 0 to infinity. So I'll just go for initial value and final value. So I'll just substitute C equal to 0 first. In that case, what current I supposed to get? C. If you substitute the value of C in the magnitude as 0, the denominator becomes 0, which makes magnitude as infinity at an angle of. Now, since C value is equal to 0, again this becomes infinity. Tan inverse of infinity is actually 90 degree, but tan inverse of minus infinity is minus 90 degree. But again, because of this minus sign at input, it will become positive 90 degree. I am sure you understood how do I calculate the value of I as a polar value when C is known to me. Next, I'll take a final condition where C tends to infinity. When you substitute C tends to infinity, what I will get as the moment C is infinity, in the magnitude you can see the denominator becomes infinity, which makes it 0. So in fact, you will get some constant value. In fact, you will get 1 upon R there at an angle. Now, when you substitute C tends to infinity, the denominator becomes infinity, and because of which the ratio becomes 0, and tan inverse of 0 is simply 0 degree. So we have only two values of current, that is initial current value and final current value. So now we have only two values of currents with us, where initial value of current is simply infinity at an angle of positive 90 degree, and the final current value that we have seen, it was 1 upon R at an angle of 0 degree. Let's see how we can plot this. This is quite similar to the polar plot that you do in control systems. So just let me tell you about the basics. Remember, this is called as 0 degree. If you go anti-clockwise, it is always positive angles. In that case, this is positive 90 degree. Again, if you go anti-clockwise, this is positive 180 degree. Then this is positive 270 degree. And again, you're going back to this 360 degree. This is when you deal with anti-clockwise direction. When you go clockwise, like from 0 degree, if you go clockwise here, it will be minus 90 degree. If you move clockwise again, it is minus 180 degree, the same axis. Here, it becomes what? Minus 270 degree. And needless to tell you, again clockwise, it again becomes minus 360 degree. So remember, anti-clockwise rotation gives you positive angles, and clockwise rotation gives you negative angles. So you can just note down this. So let's see the initial value. The value of I is infinity at an angle of 90 degree. We'll confirm this initial value. If you remember, in initial value, we substitute C equal to 0, that is the minimum value of capacitor. So minimum value of capacitor, when you substitute equal to 0, this C becomes 0, which makes denominator 0. So overall, the whole denominator becomes infinity. So anything upon infinity should be 0 and not infinity. So we should modify this to a value as 0 at an angle of 90 degree. And then the final value is correct. We should write 0 at an angle of 90 degree here. Let's see how to plot it. Now, we have to concentrate on two angles, 90 degree and 0 degree. It is positive 90 degree. So positive 90 degree, it means it is this, and 0 degree is this. So at positive 90 degree, how much is the magnitude? Magnitude is simply 0. It means I'll get this point. And then what is the final point? It is 1 by r at an angle of 0 degree. See, 1 by r will be somewhere here at an angle of 0 degree, and 0 degree is the same axis. So if I want to travel from initial value to final value, I will always get a curve. So curve will be like this. This is what we called as locus diagram. Now the questions comes in the student's mind that how come, sir, do you know that it is traveling in this way? I mean, we could have this kind of journey also. So let me tell you, even this is also a way to go from 90 degree to 0 degree, but the lower path is invalid. I'll prove it how. Let's go back to the options and first of all check what is a valid option, then I'll give you clarification based on this. So as you can see here, option number A is the correct option. And now I'll give you the clarification on this. See, only initial value and final value is known, then it becomes impossible for us to really judge whether it is going clockwise or anti-clockwise. If you go clockwise, you'll get the upper curve, and if you go anti-clockwise, we should get the lower curve. But as I said, the lower curve is invalid. The problem is that we have only two values, that is initial value and final value. Initial value and final value. Because of this, we are not able to judge how to go about it. So what I'll do, I'll try to get the intermediate value also. Just recall what was the I value that we had is, it was 1 upon under root of r square plus 1 upon omega square c square at an angle of minus of tan inverse of minus 1 upon omega rc. Is that right? Now, if you remember, for calculating initial value, I have substituted c equal to 0, and for calculating final value, I have substituted c tends to infinity. Why not to put a value which is intermediate from 0 to infinity? What I'll do, I'll just put c value as 1 upon omega r. And if I do so, just try to substitute c value into omega r. If you do so, you will get some constant. What is a constant? That is none of our business. You will get some constant. It's okay. We can write k here at an angle. Angle is important for us. If I substituted c equal to 1 upon omega r, the reason why I have taken omega r will be now clear. Now try to substitute c equal to 1 upon omega r in the denominator gets cancelled. In effect, it becomes 45 degree. So just to get angle as 45 degree, I tried to manage to get tan inverse of 1, and to do so, the only possible value of c I can substitute as 1 upon omega r so as to cancel out this term. So I'll go on trying this again. 0 degree, this is 90 degree. Now tell me, for initial value which is c was equal to 0, first value I got 0 at an angle of 90 degree. 90 degree is this phase, and 0, it means it is this point. So this is the first point, this is the second point of current, and this is a third point of current. First point I have already substituted, or I have already mentioned in the graph. Second point says it is k at an angle of positive 45 degree. You know the fact, when you go anti-clockwise, you get positive angles. So 45 degree has to be this angle. So for 45 degree, I got some constant value k. See, this is the first point, this is the second point, and we know the fact, third point is this. So now, so when we join these 3 points, we'll get a complete curve. So this is the way we shall really go. But then let me tell you, from gate point of view, it is very impossible to go this way, right? So I'll give you one shortcut. You have to remember this. This is applicable to the polar plot that you do in control systems also. You got only initial value and final value. Initial value let's say it is phi1, final value is phi2. If phi1 minus phi2 comes out to be positive, always follow clockwise direction. I'll tell you what is exactly meant by clockwise direction. And if phi1 minus phi2, if it comes out to be negative, go for anti-clockwise direction. What I meant, I'll explain. First point is 0 at an angle of 90 degree. So you had this as first point. Second point that you had as a final point, which is 1 upon r at an angle of 0 degree. So you got this point. Now the question was whether to go like this or like this. So I'm telling you, phi1 minus phi2, if you do in this case it is positive, so we have to go clockwise. It means from this point we have to go to the second point in clockwise direction only, which allows us to draw only this part. And this is the shortcut to be remembered now. If phi1 minus phi2 comes out to be negative, you have to approach from point 1 to point 2 in anti-clockwise direction. In that case, the lower part would be correct one. I'm sure you understood this problem. Let's move to the next problem now. Let's see question number 3. Even question number 3 is, again, as you can see, it is a Locker's diagram. A DC voltage source is connected to series LC circuit by turning on the switch S at t equal to 0. As you can see, it is LC series circuit and there is a switch and switch is closing at t equal to 0. The moment t equal to 0 happens, the switch is closed and then only supply voltage is given to L and C. Means L and C were not initially getting charged. So initial conditions are straight away equal to 0. Assume I of 0 equal to 0 and V of 0 equal to 0. Surprisingly, they have given initial conditions also. Which one of the following circular loci represents the plot of I of t versus V of t? So we have to plot I of t versus V of t. I of t will be on y axis, V of t will be on x axis. What we need to do is, we need to actually calculate I of t and V of t separately, and thereafter I can actually have a loci diagram. I can actually see how V of t and I of t are changing with respect to each other. Looking at the circuit, since it is LC circuit, it means it is a second order circuit. You know the fact, when it comes to second order circuit, it is impossible to solve in time domain. So it is advisable that you should go for Laplace domain. So what I'll do, I'll just replace the given time domain circuit into frequency domain circuit, that is Laplace domain circuit. Let's see what we can do with this. Input is 5 volt. After Laplace transformation, it will become 5 by S. You know what? L becomes Ls. In this case, L value is 1 Henry. So it is simply replaced with S ohms. Whereas capacitor C is replaced with 1 upon Cs. In this case, the value of C is also 1 farad. So it simply became 1 upon S ohms. Since we know the circuit now, let's draw its equivalent model in Laplace domain. So the final circuit becomes like this. 5 by S. This is S ohms. And the capacitor reactance is 1 upon S ohms. In fact, this current is I of S. And if you see in the circuit, this is actually V of t given. So Laplace of the same becomes V of S. We'll calculate V of S later. First of all, let's concentrate how to get I of S. I of S can be solved by simply using Ohm's law because it is V by total Z. What is V? It is 5 by S divided by impedance can be taken as S plus 1 upon S as they are connected in series. I can write I of S as 5 by S divided by S square plus 1 upon S. SS will get cancelled. What is final I of S is 5 upon S square plus 1. If you take inverse Laplace of it, you will get it I of t as 5 times cos of t, of course with u of t. So this is I of t you have. What we need to get is V of t, but before getting V of t, let's try to get V of S. From V of S, you will get V of t. So by observation, you can see V of S is actually I of S into 1 upon S. This is again by Ohm's law. I of S is the current, 1 upon S is impedance. Current into impedance gives you voltage. So what was I of S? I of S was 5 upon s square plus 1 into 1 upon s. So now we have v of s as 5 upon s into s square plus 1. To get v of t, first of all, v of s should be simplified, and simplification is done by partial fraction. So I can represent v of s as a upon s plus bs plus c upon s square plus 1. So this can be written as 5 equal to a into s square plus 1 plus bs plus c into s. 5 equal to a square plus a plus bs square plus cs. So by comparison, you will see a equal to 5 as well as a square plus b square. I can in fact write a plus b equal to 0, or I can say a equal to what? Minus b. So b becomes minus 5. So the values of a and b are known to us. The value of c has become 0. By comparison, I can write v of s as the value of a is 5, so it becomes 5 by s plus the value of b is minus 5, so it is minus 5 s upon s square plus 1. Now if you take inverse Laplace of it, v of t is 5 minus 5 cos of t into u of t, of course. So now the value of v of t and I of t is known to us. Let's write them together and then we'll see what is the variation in them. So the value of I of t we had as 5 sin t, and the value of v of t is 5 minus 5 cos of t. As you can see, it is actually I of t versus v of t. Let us substitute t equal to 0 first. When you substitute t equal to 0, I of t straight away becomes 0, because sin 0 is always 0. Whereas v of t, if you observe, on substituting t equal to 0, cos 0 becomes 1. So 5 minus 5 again becomes 0. So both of them are 0, 0 at time equal to 0. This is the first point I got as v of t and I of t at t equal to 0. Is that right? Let us get second value by having t equal to pi by 2. So if you substitute t equal to pi by 2, I of t becomes 5 and v of t also becomes 5. So at pi by 2 you got 5 comma 5. V of t is also 5, I of t is also 5. It means somewhere here you will get 5 comma 5 at t equal to what? Pi by 2. It means I am getting this kind of curve like this. Thereafter you can have third point also. I will substitute t equal to pi now. At t equal to pi, I of t. Now if you substitute t equal to pi in I of t, it will become 0. Reason, sin pi or sin n pi is 0 provided n is integer. Whereas if you calculate v of t, substitute t equal to pi in v of t expression, so it becomes cos of pi, and cos of pi is minus 1. Minus 1 means 5 plus 5 will become 10. So v of t is 10, I of t is 0. So when you actually get this point where I of t is equal to 0 and v of t is equal to 10, I suppose to get this point. So I'll actually reach over here when t value is what? Pi. Also you can go on calculating fourth point now, where t is equal to minus pi by 2, so that I of t and v of t can be calculated. Both of them comes out to be minus 5 minus 5. So you will get this point where both of them are minus 5 and minus 5, that is third quadrant, and then you can actually go this way. And again if you substitute t equal to 0 or t equal to 2 pi, in fact you will again go back to this. It means this is the variation of I of t with respect to V of t. Let's go and see what is the correct option here. So as you can see, option number B is the correct option. I'm sure you understood how to go for locus diagram and what is the correct technique. Thank you.